In June of last year, many of us will remember, on June 18th, it was a Wednesday, I remember, because before I went to bed, I checked Twitter, as any good millennial does. And I saw news pouring out of Charleston, South Carolina. There had been a shooting at an AME church. As news scrolled across my news feed, I found out more details. I found out that it was at Mother Emanuel AME Church. Mother Emanuel, a historic church in my denomination, which was known as a bastion of civil rights, which was known as historically living into the ethic and the narrative of my faith tradition. You see, the AME Church was founded in 1787 in protest to racial injustice in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. There are a lot of important things happening in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in 1787. The Constitution was being written. So the founding of the AME Church predates the founding of the American Republic. At the time, Blacks and whites were worshiping together at what was then St. George Methodist Episcopal Church. Black members of the denomination were told that they could not kneel and pray because they were less than white members. So in protest, the founder of our faith, Richard Allen, went and knelt and prayed, got up, and left, starting the first historically Black denomination in the United States. Mother Emanuel was founded not too many years after as one of the first churches in the southern United States. It was a church known to be a church with a rich history of resistance to racial injustice. That Wednesday evening after a church conference, the saints of God gathered for Bible study and did what most Christians are taught to do. They welcomed the stranger. In this case, the stranger came in the form of a 20-year-old young man named Dylan Roof. Dylan Roof, a young man who was raised in a mainline Christian denomination, the Evangelical Lutheran Church. Dylan Roof, who was confirmed in that church, sat across from Black Christians in Bible study, people who shared his sacred text for an hour, reading the Word of God, before pulling out a gun and killing 9 Black Christians. I heard stories from inside the sanctuary because it's only 1 or 2 degrees of separation from every person. I'm only 1 or 2 degrees of separation from every person who died that night. I heard stories that didn't make the news, like Reverend Clementa Pinckney's daughters were present with his wife and hiding in his study as their father was killed. I heard stories about a young 6-year-old girl who was told to play dead to live. In the wake of Charleston, our national consciousness was once again awakened to the realities of racial injustice and hatred in this nation. Many people didn't know what to do, staring at their TV screens, feeling helpless. After Charleston, news reports would show that a spate of burnings of Black churches would happen throughout the South, all of which went grossly underreported. Yet, watching the news from her apartment in Brooklyn, a young Black Muslim woman named Fatima Knight decided that during the holy month of Ramadan, there was nothing more sacred that she could do than to raise money to rebuild Black churches in the South. And she did, well over $75,000. That is the embodiment of an ethic of accompaniment with someone who doesn't look like you, who may not share your same core beliefs, but from the very wells of their being, from the very wells of their tradition, believes wholeheartedly that we as a people are each other's business. Fatima Knight showed me what it means to show up. to show up in some of the darkest moments, to be present for others. Not a lax presence, but to truly be invested and know that what is at stake in this question, in this dark time and at this dark moment, is a matter of life and death.